All right, the time being 6 o'clock, I'll go ahead and bring this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank everybody for attending this meeting. I'd ask you if you'd please go ahead and shut your cell phones off. And I'd like to take a moment because on Thursday we'll be celebrating the 243rd birthday of our nation, and there will be barbecues and fireworks and celebrations all over, friends and family getting together. But I asked this weekend if people would just take a moment and think about and reflect on what it means to be an American and what it means to you, and think of all those who fought for our freedom. And I have a little quote here from Ronald Reagan, and it's not meant to be political, but I thought it was pretty appropriate tonight. He said that freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It is not passed down by blood, but it must be fought for and protected by the children and handed to them for them to do the same. So just please take a moment and reflect about that on our nation's birthday here coming up on July 4th. So thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
All right, roll call, please.
Carrie,
Here.
John,
Here.
Gary,
Here.
Joe,
Here.
Dan.
Here. All right, do any of the commissioners have any reason to abstain for a financial or non-financial conflict of interest at this time?
I
No.
do not.
No. No. All right, next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Are there any corrections at this time?
I move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the June 18, 2019 minutes. I did have a correction on that. I believe it was when we talked about to increase the fees for no-through trucks. I know your original motion, Gary, was $2,500 and then it doubles.
Yeah.
I don't believe there was a second for that, and that motion died, and then you restated your motion of $25 flat, and then Don seconded that one, and it passed.
Okay.
So I think it has in there something different, does it not? It had, it had to increase 2,500 with the fines doubling. I don't think that happened. I think it was just $2,500. Is that how everybody else remembers it? I watched the video, and that's what I got out of that.
That should get their
I think
attention.
that was our, yeah.
I think that was so, it's
Not
just,
to double, but
it's,
then Joe said,
well,
agreed with it, or
yeah,
I think it was just to increase to 2,500,
Yeah.
period, if I remember. right.
how I remember is Gary made that motion, and then it didn't get a second, and Don was thinking about it, and he said, I could support it. We had more discussion, and then Gary made another motion for across-the-board $2,500 no-through trucks. Don seconded it, and then Gary, Don, and Joe voted yes, and then Sherry and I voted no, and the motion passed. That's how I remember it. So are we okay with changing that?
Yes.
All right. That's the one thing I had. Do we want to approve the June 18th and June 20th together or separately? Pat?
separate.
All right, so any other corrections on the June 18th minutes?
No.
I'll move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Next item on the agenda, June 20th, 2019 commission meeting for the budget.
I move
Entertaining.
approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion pass. Next item on the agenda, item number 6, public comment.
There is no names.
Anyone care to make a public comment at this time? Going once, going twice. All right, close the public comment portion. Next item on the agenda, item number 7, claims.
I'll move approval of the claims.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
I'd just like to note that it appears that our legal fees through the court system were about $40,000 this month.
That really adds up.
That's lots of money.
Lots of money. Any other further discussion?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Next item, payroll.
Move approval of the payroll.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Next item on the agenda, entrance application. Mike, you want to come explain this?
Just a entrance application north of the Jamesville Colony. It's for the oil pipeline. It already exists there. They would just like to put a driveway in with a culvert. I met with the guy and discussed a 24-inch by 40.
And it has changed a little bit. There's, once you read from what we have in our packets, Energy New Star, and then there's you said that a little bit additional has happened with the.
Well, just the name they added, buy-in through general partner, New Star Pipeline Company.
Okay.
That's pretty much all the.
Mike, explain who's paying for it.
They are.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
And when you said oil pipeline, it's New Star, isn't the old KNIB?
Right.
Yeah, they're refined and
Right,
Canada is crude oil. Yeah, okay.
Yep. Sorry about that.
Any other questions from the commission for Mike?
Not, I guess, don't mean to put you on the spot. When you size culverts, how do you determine that?
Look above and look below, and
Okay. And that's what fits there?
Right.
That's, okay.
Currently, it's a $75 fee for that entrance. And how much time would you say this takes you? I mean, this one might be less, but on average, how long does it take you if you got to drive out there and do?
well, it just depends if we can
Yeah.
meet at the same time, and
Sure.
sometimes it take you 2 trips, sometimes say 2 hours then, but on a normal one where guy can meet up right away, then it's about an hour.
Okay. Plus driving out there. And
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Alrighty. Any other questions for Mike on that? Entertain a motion.
Move approval of the application.
Second.
I have a motion, I'll give Gary that second, and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Next item on the agenda, item number 8, FEMA and SBA flooding event. Chris and Roger, I guess you guys want to go together at the same time? They called me in for a meeting with FEMA, and I told them they had to come in, and they had such great information. We asked them to come in and speak to the commission. So the floor is yours.
All right, thanks for having us. Also, I want to thank,
Introduce yourself. for
my
the
name's Chris
record.
Arnhem. I'm the FEMA Intergovernmental Affairs Specialist for Yankton County. And this is Roger Bush with Small Business Administration. I want to thank you guys for having us here. It's great to have a platform to get some information out to the city of Yankton as well as the county. We also want to thank Paul and Aaron with Yankton Emergency Management. They've been very helpful on getting us any information we need and helping direct our DSA teams, which is Disaster Survivor Assistance teams that we're going door to door in your guys' community. I basically want to start by just kind of talking about the ways to register. We have disasterassistance.gov. We have the FEMA 800 number, which is 800-621-3362. And we also have the teams going door to door, as well as a team over at Yankton Emergency Management. We have a disaster recovery center with FEMA, small business, and several state agencies. Once people come in and register, they'll get a 9-digit disaster number. That will be their number for all the programs. After they've registered, it'll typically be 7 to 10 days before they have an inspection, and then the inspector will come out He'll assess the damage in typically 3 to 5 business days before any monies is awarded. All applicants will get a letter in the mail. It's called an eligibility letter. It'll either state, yes, you're eligible, or you are deemed ineligible. If you are deemed ineligible, that doesn't mean that's the end-all be-all. We just need a little bit more information. Most common is ineligible due to INS, which is insurance. So all that's stating is we need that letter from your insurance company stating, yes, they're going to pay for X amount of dollars, or they're not, before FEMA can start picking up, so there's no duplication of benefits. They may also be directed to the Small Business Administration, and I'll let Roger talk on that here in a little bit, but it's very important. It's part of our process. A lot of people will get that, and they may not fill it out feeling that they need another loan, but it is part of our process. What it does is it gives them the option to take that if they qualify, but if not, they get funneled back into FEMA for other needs assistance. So it's very important and crucial. As of today, before we came over here, there's been 125 total registrations in Yankton. And that was as of probably about 5 minutes before getting here. So the numbers are getting there. We just need to help push out to the communities to let them know if you had any damage from that flooding event from the snow melt, please come in. Also, if you registered with 211, that does not mean that you registered with FEMA. We need people to know that. I'll pass it over to Roger real quick, and he'll talk to you guys a little bit about it.
One question.
Yes.
Explain to me the door-to-door.
So-
You really going
Yes, there were teams going door to door. They were called.
every door in the county?
First they start with the areas Paul and Aaron identified as the hardest hit, and then they spread out from there. So those people are called DSA, or Disaster Survivor Assistance Teams. They will be in FEMA shirts and or jackets if some of them get cold, which I don't see, but inclement weather. But they will all have the FEMA badge. They will all identify as FEMA. We do not ask for money when we're coming and registering you at the door. So that's a tip. As with disasters, there are people that try and scam residents. So we want them to know that, your residents to know that if they don't feel comfortable with someone coming to the door, they can ask us to come back if another family member comes, or they
So
can.
if you go to the door and nobody's there, you leave a...
We'll leave a flyer, yep. And then they can either call the 800 number or the disasterassistance.gov on there, or they can come to the DRC. If anybody calls you guys with any questions or something, please direct them to the DRC, because they can look up their case and give them more specific information than what you may be able to give them.
Well, I want to thank you for that work. It sounds to me like you're going well above and beyond the call of what...
Well, we try to.
Thank you.
All right, here's Roger with SBA.
Thanks, Chris. My name is Roger Bush, and I'm a public information officer with the SBA. I passed out a flyer. If everyone got one, I just want to kind of give you a quick what SBA offers. We're here more for the long term. The immediate needs is going to come from grants and things from FEMA. Ours is a low interest rate loans that we offer. Even though it says Small Business Administration, and a declaration like this, we make more loans to homeowner and renters as well. So it's all part of the individual assistant program where we're in partnership with FEMA. When people register with FEMA, and that's probably the most important step, is get registered with FEMA. Like Chris said, either call or go into the center, and we have loan reps there then too. So for homeowners, if they get referred to us, that one step that Chris talked about, we always like to explain it. We just say drop down about the middle of that page I gave you, and it'll state if you fill out the application, we approve the loan, it's up to you if you want to take it. If we decline you, you could go back to FEMA for other needs assistance. Very important step in the program. So for each that come into the centers, they really get this program down pat. And this is what we're out trying to get out to the community. Media has been fantastic. Everybody's been really good getting the word out for us. And our program then is businesses are eligible up to $2 million. That's a combination loan of physical damage, economic injury as well. Can be written as low as 4% up to 30 years for repayment. And that's a very key. I'm an ex-banker before I got into this. That 30-year repayment, which really helps them out. We're in farming area here. We like to get the word out to the farmers that we can't do their business. We refer them back over USDA. However, we will do their personal, their homes, the personal property, vehicles, things like that come under the home loan program. Businesses, as I mentioned, then eligible up to $2 million. They could have physical loss and economic injury loss. They're eligible for that. And then there's businesses maybe on the other side of town, the other side of the county, even a contiguous county. Businesses that losing revenue because of this disaster, they're eligible for that $2 million as well. So we get that word out. We're here to do outreach ourselves to a lot of different businesses to to make them know that that's available. So. Nonprofits are eligible as well. That could be homeowner associations, churches come under that program. They're written at 2.75 fixed rate up to 30 years for repayment. Homeowners, they're eligible for and this is all uninsured properties, so some may have insurance, could come up short, so we just say all uninsured property. Deductibles come under that, so homeowners are eligible up to $200,000 for the home itself, the real estate, $40,000 for personal property, and that's where the renters come into play then too. Anybody renting a house or apartments lost their personal property, their vehicles, things like that, they come under that $40,000 as well. And for homeowners, renters, they're written as low as 2%, and they can be up to 30 years for repayment as well. So. That's kind of our program. As I mentioned, they don't have to take the loan, but we just really want, most people, they're not looking for a loan right now, but it's one big step in the program. And usually when they want our services is the day after we leave. They said, okay, I didn't get what I thought from FEMA. My insurance didn't cover it. I'd like to get that, if I can get that, interest rate of 2%. It's a pretty good deal, So we just encourage everybody to get into the centers. If they can't get into the centers, our 800 number, it's a little different, but for our customer service, and we do have loan reps that are always online to help people walk them through the program, is 1-800-659-2955. And that information's on the bottom of that sheet that I handed out to you. 3 ways to apply. They can get into the centers. We've got centers up and running pretty much throughout all the declared counties. I think there's about 8, I believe, that's probably up and running, with a couple of mobile units that we're hitting Bonham, Charles Mix, Hutchinson. They're going to move, like I know they opened in Tabor, and they're moving over to Lake Andes. We had the Business Recovery Center here for 2 weeks, and then we merged it into the Disaster Recovery Center here in Yankton. But we have loan reps. And another question that comes, how long are we going to be here? It's a numbers game. If they keep coming into the center needing our help, we'll be there as long as possible. And we're a direct lender, so we might stay a little bit longer than what FEMA might, after they feel like they've registered and helped everybody that's needed. We stay because we're a direct lender. We originate the loan. We verify the damage, we process the loan, and we also close. We have our own escrow, so it's all under the small business, and that expedites it a lot too. So we've already, in just a couple of weeks, I think I mentioned to you when we had like a couple of loans already in the hopper. We've already got about 30, 40 that got approved for well up into about $600,000-700,000 right now. So it's coming together, and each week that'll just keep increasing. So.
It's what our small businesses need. I mean, because this could, without your help, some of them could not be in business anymore. So we appreciate your efforts.
Yeah, we just encourage people to come. So.
Is there anything you need from the county, or we're doing everything we can to get the word out. I see
I
it in
think just
newspaper, radio.
that resource right there, we want to touch base with everybody. Another key question that comes up, so a lot of people might ask you, who's eligible? That we get that a lot. And we always say just two things. Did you own the property? You had damage. Then register FEMA, they sort it out. All the businesses will come to us, nonprofits as well, and any of those. And then the homeowners, not all of them come to us. It's kind of an income type thing. They'll do a little income test at first. If they can't qualify or make repayment ability on this loan, they won't refer them there. And that's why they send them over to us. So just keep in mind the key is if we can't make that loan, we refer them back to FEMA. And then every loan we decline, another step that's in the process, we give them 6 months reconsideration rights. So whatever we decline them for, they got 6 months to come back to us. So
What's the time frame one can expect from application to verification to when monies are available?
there's renters, especially personal property, we can turn those in a week, 10 days probably. It goes by pretty quick. If we can get out and appraise, do the assessment on the damage and get that together with their credit. It's all processed out of Fort Worth, Texas, so it's really streamlined that way. They just, they can turn them. And like I said, less than 2 weeks, we've already got well over $500,000 already approved, so. Any questions?
Anybody from the audience have a question for Roger or Chris while they're here?
If you would just repeat those numbers one more time, your 1-800 number.
Oh, our 800 number, 659-2955. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
Get the word out.
Thank you, guys.
We want to hit everybody that, like I said, owned the property, had damage, get them to the center.
It's
the best way to do it.
Reiterate what Don said, we really appreciate all the hard work you're doing for the citizens of Yankton County. So
All right.
Let's give these guys a round of applause. for their help.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I got one more thing
Yeah,
to say.
go ahead.
I just talked with Mr. Bush. You're a Vietnam veteran, aren't you?
Yes.
Thank you for your service.
Navy corpsman attached with the Marine Corps. I was U.S. Navy, but he didn't like that. I'm kidding.
Dan and I are.
Dan's a ranger.
I know it. That's the best part. The camaraderie is there.
So that, the deadlines, the application filing deadlines are August 6th for physical damage, correct?
Yes.
And the economic injury is March 9th, 2020. So, just so everybody realizes that there are deadlines, and don't delay, get in and get it taken care of now, or so otherwise you'll be sorry.
All right.
One more thing. For this county, if you lost work due to the event, there is disaster unemployment available, and the deadline for that is the 15th of July for this county. So, just so anybody knows, and that's for farmers and
For a farmer, if you can't plant your field, that's actually important, so, and where would they go to do that?
farmers can go to USDA, and in that packet I gave you on Friday, that has the information for the disaster unemployment. I can also run by maybe tomorrow or something, or before I leave, and give you guys a packet on it, on the latest news release.
Could you drop it off in the auditor's office?
Yeah,
So
I
the
can do that.
latest packet will be in the auditor's office?
Yep, can do that. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, appreciate it, Paul. Next item on the agenda, is there anything else on that before we move on to the next item? All right. Next item on the agenda, item number 9, bridge improvement grants. Mr. Sedlacek. Welcome.
I guess the main thing for this is I just need signatures on page 5 there. This is for the bridge improvement grants on, there's the bridge on 448 just south of 301. That's one of the bridges, and then the other bridge would be the one about a mile north of Utica on 435. And these grants, what it's for is pretty much preservation grant. It is, they'll check for concrete spalling, any bad spots, in the concrete, they'll repair, and then they'll epoxy seal the decks.
Could you tell the audience and people listen, how much funding are they for both of them? I see the first one's 117,900. What is the second one?
Oh,
There's a lot of pages here to go through.
remember which page that was on, Dan?
$101,000.
100.
I think it's on the first.
101,000.
$101,200.
Is that the amount of the grant, and our
Yep.
20% is in addition to that? These are 80/20, 80% state,
80,
20%
yep, 80.
local match?
Right.
Got it.
So these will have an inspection done prior to
They will be inspected this year. All-
the work being done? The
Yes.
sealing and, okay.
How long do you expect those bridges will be closed down for this
They won't-
rehabilitation?
They won't be totally closed, they'll go down to one lane, just.
Oh, okay.
It'll be just like what they did this last year on the Jim River bridges.
Yep.
They went down to one lane.
When do you plan on starting to work on these?
This will not be done until 2020.
Okay, so next year. We got plenty of time to get the word out.
Yep, this is what we got granted, back, I think it was back in April.
Mhm.
And I just now got the paperwork, so.
And with that report that Clark Engineer gave us, were these both rated as the highest, in the highest category of risk? Repair, need for repair?
No, these are actually in good condition, it's just, we want to keep it that way.
We're essentially doing an epoxy top coat, right, on the top to
Right,
prevent
well,
water from water intrusion into the deck.
Then I don't know if you remember last year on some of them Jim River bridges, how they actually cut some of the deck out, or took a jackhammer and knocked out they call it spalling, the concrete is starting to go bad. They'll repair them, and
And then just for the audience, Yankton County has about 80 bridges, is that correct?
mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Any other questions for Mike on this? Anybody from the audience have a question on
What was
this?
the first bridge, please?
On 448 Avenue, 448 and 301, that intersection go approximately a third of a mile south.
Do you need a motion to accept these then, or what?
Each bridge separately.
Each bridge? Okay.
And numbers.
It's gonna fit into our corridor plan.
Yeah. All right, entertain a motion on these bridge grants.
I need each one separately and each number.
Okay.
Because I have to send the minutes
Okay.
to the state.
I'd move approval
Oh,
of
okay.
bridge grant 68-070-113.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Further discussion. We don't need the dollar amount, do we?
No, just
Any further discussion? All right, roll call vote, please.
Joe,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion passed. All right, go on to the next bridge, 68200-103.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Don,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Oh.
Dan.
Yes, motion passed. Are we putting in some more bridge improvement grants for this year for preservation?
We have one other, I'm working on that, but I have one other grant. I did not have it on the agenda for tonight, but I kind of mentioned it at the budget hearing the other day.
What is it for?
Highway infrastructure program funds. What it is they gave me a list of, it's emergency relief program is what it is. They give a list of the bridges that are in poor condition in the county. And, I would say there's probably about 20 of them on the page to choose from, but we have where's the dollar amount? $238,000 is what they granted us for this grant. That is whether it be for preservation or replacement. Yeah, the exact dollar amount is $238,495.
If you remember, I think it was last week, it was published in 2 newspapers of federal funding. And at that meeting, that was the question I asked, if we were going to get any of that. So I'm going to read this little bit of background here. The state received an apportionment of highway infrastructure program funds pursuant to Department of Transportation Appropriations Act 2019 Title I of Division G Publication 116-6 for bridge replacement and rehabilitation. The state will convert these funds into state highway funds and distribute these funds on a pro rata basis based on the percentage of deck area the local governmental agencies have classified as in poor condition, as reported on our National Bridge Inspection Program as of December 31st, 2017. So my opinion is they've looked at all the counties across the state, and this is our apportionment for poor square footage of deck. And we can only use it on these structures,
Right.
which I didn't count them, for 8, 12, 16.
22 or something, does that sound?
Yeah, 70, 19. There's about 19 there. Fortunately, one of the bridges that we had planned that we delayed the work on for this year, we paid for,
We paid for the structure, but
This-
not,
yep, but we didn't do the work. We delayed
Right.
it to next year. That bridge is on this list. So we can use these funds for that bridge, and then you've got another bridge picked out
right.
for this. But as far as I can see, I didn't see any matching or anything in here.
Right, no, it's,
It is, but we're specific, we have to use it for replacement, rehab, or preservation. We can use it as match for FEMA funds on bridges and things like that. So it's pretty flexible, and I think we've got, once we accept it, did it say 3 years to use it?
yep.
So I'm not sure, Patty, if we can approve this, because technically it wasn't on the agenda.
That wasn't on the agenda.
So we'll put it on the agenda for next time, but we have to move to accept the funds, I guess, and then we have to expend it in 3 years. So it's kind of a nice little surprise.
Are we gonna work with the corridor committee on those? I think that would fit well, to prioritize, our corridor system with the bridges we wanna replace and.
Yep, we
think
had
that would be-
discussion about a very lengthy list of
That's
things
good.
that we need to look at,
That's good.
and certainly it doesn't make sense to have a nice road with no bridge
Exactly.
on it, so, yes. But just so you're all aware, and you emailed it to every commissioner, so you can read the whole thing at your leisure.
Do you wanna go ahead and post that on your webpage too, in case the audience wants to
Okay.
see it? It's a great deal that we're getting some state funding, so thank you for your hard work on that. And we'll put that on that agenda for next meeting then,
Yes.
for the July 16th.
And what's this for? What you want it in?
What do you?
I would call it Highway Infrastructure Program Funds. That's their term.
Okay. Anything else for Mike? It's nice we're getting funding twice in a row, bridge improvement grant. Wow.
Mike, are you done for the night?
No, I
That's the next time.
Okay.
next one.
I do have one question for you
Okay,
when you get done.
Do you want to do this?
Well, can you update us on the road going out to the new old plant? Do you know where we're at on that or what's happening?
with the concrete
Taking it over from the township,
going north of it?
from the Fox Run intersection north
Oh.
past our facility.
I haven't done nothing with it right now, to be honest with you.
Okay. The township is interested in transferring it and getting that process done.
Okay. I will get with them.
That's the legal part of it, right, is what we're looking at?
Okay. Anything else? We'll move on to next item on the agenda. Next item on the agenda, item number 10, advertise for cornstalk removal bid.
I would like to put out for bid for cornstalk removal. I got 3 locations, one south of Vollen, one off of 303, and then one on 448. The way it's been going, we have a lot of stuff on our plate right now, and I just want to make sure we get everything done. Talking with Paul with FEMA, I have that turned in on the FEMA stuff, and the way it sounds, within a couple months, we should be able to start receiving funds for this. So if that's one of the reasons why I've been holding off on this, because I didn't want to spend the money if we weren't going to get any, and absolutely try to get it done, you know. So
Just to be clear, these are all the corn stalks that ended up in roadway ditches
In
and
the-
whatnot from the flooding and plug culverts and all
Right.
that. So FEMA's gonna reimburse us to remove them. I think we have to weigh them, don't we? Or how does?
well, talking with DNR, it sounds like we can pile them and burn them, but we have to have DNR come out and tell us where we can pile them because of the ash, if it was to get into the waterway again. So there are, the one big area south of Vollen, well, I'm thinking we're gonna have to haul them regardless. You got major waterway right there. Or if I was to get permission from Vollen to haul them to their burn pile by the ball field, there's another creek right there, and so,
So the process and the requirements are gonna be clearly outlined when you
Right.
get these out, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Just for general discussion, when we met and revised the proposal of things to do for 2019, one of the things that we talked about is doing overtime work if it needed to do to get the roads back in shape and do things like this. Now, we've had several discussions where they've talked about we need to make sure that we get everything done that we can through FEMA so that we get as much credit as we can from that. I just would like to reaffirm, for Mike's sake, that we still support overtime work if we're trying to get these things done, or roads that haven't been brought up to as close as we can get to travel.
mm-hmm.
I do support that. And I do like, getting bids for some of these other things too. We can look at outsourcing it too, but.
Well, I feel like on our gravel roads, I know we're still behind, way behind, but there are some roads that right now we cannot haul on yet because they're still soft, but you gotta pick and choose your roads. Are they firming up? Yeah, they're way better. It's just, and when I say you can't haul on them, it's not because you can't, it's because do you want to make them people upset on that road that we're making it worse than it already is, That's where you gotta pick and choose.
Well, I actually got a compliment on the roads today, a phone call, so I think things are turning around. I shared that with Mike and Sherry, and you're down. We're very happy with the road. She called this morning and it was taken care of right away. Very happy family, so.
And the road closures we're getting down there. We still have a few roads that are down, and
I believe the county people, our customers in the county have been very supportive of what you've done and the rate that you're getting things done, and they understand the softness of roads and so forth. It's just that as soon as we can get it corrected, I think it's a high priority for us to do it, and that's why I say if we can put a grader out there for an extra day, we should be doing that.
mm-hmm.
What are the guys working now? Are they working overtime now?
We have, I felt that with our road closures, the roads that are, well, there's one road that's closed that I wish was not, it's a county, it's a oil road, the North County line. That's the only one that really bothers me, but the other roads that are closed are some gravel roads, low traffic areas, so that's why I haven't been pushing a bunch of overtime right now, is because I feel we're getting there, you know. Next week, my goal is to be hauling some gravel and have a crew out doing that, another crew out doing a couple culverts yet, and then I want to start digging out blowouts and paving. That's my goal.
I guess I don't know about the other commissioners, but I'd be fine with Don and Sherry, you know, making that call on overtime.
Yeah.
And you, at your discretion, you know, go to your liaisons, and if they feel it, I would defer that decision to you two.
Yeah,
I feel
think
comfortable with that.
We need to put priority to it, and I mean, even temp help if it's available to run that extra day or something, but I put that in your guys' hands.
Mhm.
It could be weather related too, where we gotta go real
Right.
hard this week and back off, so I'm fine. Is that okay with you and Don and Sherry? It's your discretion. I'm fine. Is that fine with you, Gary?
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Anything else for Mike? Do we need a motion for this? Okay.
Move authorization of the corn stalk removal bid.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Joe,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion pass. Next item on the agenda, item number 11, advertise for draining commission members. Sherry, did you want to take this?
Yes, we have 2 terms expiring. In fact, they expired last month on the Drainage Commission. I assume it's similar to the Planning Commission, where we advertise for anybody who would like to put their name in the hat. The 2 folks who are expiring have shown interest to rejoin. So is that normal to do for the Drainage Commission? I'm assuming it is. So
Yes.
we need a motion to approve, or to advertise for,
Just approve, we won't, do a motion until
oh,
you guys decide.
okay.
Just
Okay.
approval to advertise for.
Yes, yeah.
When is the end date?
Well, I would think by our next commission meeting, 2
And
weeks.
Technically, they expired already, correct?
In June. I don't know if there was an exact date in June.
I think it's just June.
Did you
of-
see it? Just
June
June?
of 2019, I think.
Yep, and state law, Drainage Commission's kind of unique. State law, you have to fill it within 30 days, or you cannot meet as the Drainage Commission. So,
You want to do the 15th?
Well, let's set a week from Friday as a day so we can have the list.
for the
For
next,
the next meeting.
The 12th?
Yep.
The 12th?
Yes.
is
Okay.
that Friday?
That is,
Is
yes.
that Friday? Okay, that sounds good.
The 12th, applications will be due.
Yes, that's plenty of time.
Okay. Do you need a motion for that?
Just approval to just advertise it.
Approved, motion to approve the advertisement for the Drainage Board.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion pass. Next item on the agenda, item number 12, Road Task Force schedule and goals. Don and Sherry.
Go ahead and start.
You want- Thanks, Don. We met for a couple hours last night and just talked about a lot of various things. Certainly, the report from 2015 will be a good basis to begin our discussion. We talked about corridor roads. We talked about, how nice we want those corridor roads to be. We talked about grinding roads. Do you leave them gravel? Do you chip seal? Do you pave them? Bridges were part of that as well, making sure that you pick a corridor road, again, if you don't have a good bridge to drive on, it doesn't do you any good. And we talked about taking meetings out into the county, one on the east side, one on the west side, preferably after we get some type of a target, if you will. So this is kind of what we're thinking. You lay it on the table and you say, give us feedback. What works, what doesn't work, really trying to get the community's involvement in this. We had a list, we identified a list of information we needed. So I will be working over the next 2 weeks to gather the information. A lot of it has to do with costs, road counts, taxes available, the income. We have the past 6 or 7 years of money that has been spent on in the highway department as well. So chime in.
We want Mike's input on which roads are most likely that should be repaired have the greatest base. We talked about getting core testing done on the roads that haven't had it, so that we know what the base is like.
Yep. We did talk at length about the $2,500 fine for no-through trucks. And that was a good discussion, actually, because it gets you to thinking about how folks enter your county, what their purpose is when they come to our county. Is it just to get to the bridge to go to Nebraska? Well, if that's the case, we've got state roads for that. If it's businesses, that was another topic was, well, where are the businesses in our county? Those roads should be considered as well. If we've got 10 businesses along this paved road, we probably aren't going to grind that road. So that was brought up as well. So I guess I don't think I brought my list of discussion. No, in my other bag.
You got almost everything.
So, but it was a good start, and again, that report has a lot of information in it. The nice thing when you read that 100 and some page report is it gives you an idea how that process happened, what they were looking for. So we as non-professionals in doing this can take kind of their schematic and apply it again. At our next meeting, which is July 15th at 7 p.m. here, we will have South Dakota LTAP, which our representative, Chuck, will be here to talk. And I'm going to give him a phone call and see if he can't bring information for other counties who've been through this process and how they ended up at the very end. So
We talked about having the end product be not just the corridor, but identifying what conditions and terms we would do on the other roads in the system.
Yes.
So if you're going to vacate a road, here's the red flags that would say, and the process that you'd take to vacate the road. And for that, we'll call on Mike and Rob and put that together.
You know, and that type of discussion will happen mainly on the secondary roads. I don't really foresee any county-controlled roads being vacated and no maintenance type roads. That will be all at the secondary township level. So
We have some audience. Did somebody from the audience have a question?
Just what's LTAP?
South Dakota Local Transportation.
Planning Association.
Yeah,
it doesn't end up with
and planning, and I'm sorry.
Program.
I always kind of fail at the end on that.
Yeah.
But they're based out of Brookings, state funded. Greg Bavra, tall guy, you've probably seen him here before.
A couple times.
Very good resource, very good to work with.
Just need a memory, Joe.
That's right.
Anybody else from the audience have a question about the road task force?
A great group of people applied.
You know, and we had really good audience participation. I appreciated the comments from the audience, so that will continue to be the case.
I just had something, the fine for $2,500, are the signs up? They're not.
No.
I have not signed a
the signs
resolution
are up,
yet
but
either,
not
so.
$2,500.
Okay. When,
Is that something you want? You want $2,500 signs put up
We should
below?
probably sign the resolution first, I would think. before we do
Sherry,
that.
I just got one comment. I came here last night, the
I
doors
think
were all locked.
nobody can hear you.
You couldn't get in.
What time?
7.
We were all standing out in front of the building at 7 because Don and I both forgot our key to get in, and we were waiting for his wife, so we didn't get in the building till 7:10 or so.
That was after 7,
Okay, well,
but they were all locked. I'd be
Sorry
on
about
there.
that. Sorry about that.
I think you got
Apologize.
to double swipe it.
We did.
And, okay.
Yeah, we did.
Anyway, back to the
Okay.
$2,500 fine.
really have to, if you remind me, I'll come in and
Okay,
open it up.
all right, thank you.
Was there anything else from the audience? All right, Gary, go ahead.
And we're gonna put up signs that says a $2,500 fine, is that correct? I mean, if it's just still the same through truck thing,
I guess, what do you think, Rob? Is that what we should do after we sign the resolution?
We have to know how many signs how much a sign is and how many no-through truck signs we got.
Get us that information about how much it is per sign, how many signs we'd need, if you could do that for the next meeting.
'cause I don't know, Rob, maybe it could be something in court for some wiggle room for somebody to say, well, I didn't know it was a $2,500 fine, you know, I don't know.
We published it, didn't we? And we published the, we had it published.
I have not signed the resolution yet, I know
Well,
that.
But it
in our,
will.
in our discussion last night, and it was a very good point that was made. It was indicated that, you know, if you're a trucking firm, it's very difficult to know the regulations in every county in a 10-state area. You know, every county's different. The weights are different, the speed limits are different, everything. So I think the more visibility we can give to what that fine might be, the more fair it'd be to.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine. I mean, there's a sign that says no through trucks, and you know if you're gonna violate it, there's something gonna happen.
Yeah.
The speed limit that says
Sure.
55, and we go 65, we might not know what the fine is, but we know we're gonna have a fine. But I think doing it is fine, just probably depends on the cost and the number of signs. But we go through Nebraska, I don't know what's.
Well,
what's 72
you may not know what,
55.
you
I don't
may
know
not
what's
know
gonna happen,
what
but I know
no-through
something bad.
means. I don't really know what no-through means.
No, that could be a definition
I-
issue, but I'm sorry.
I
it says
could
no
find a
through
lot of
trucks.
things that I could haul through the county that might be different.
Yeah.
I think the goal, at least in my opinion, the goal of the sign of the 2,500 is we hope we never have to write one of these tickets. We hope people are gonna see that and said, oh, you know, I'm not gonna go on that road, then I'm gonna stick to the state highway. So I think the goal is just kinda like you said, Don, is bring visibility to it so people know and it's, you know, the individuals that maybe take the route they're supposed to, so.
And then I had a couple of truckers contact me, and they said, you know, we understand that we need to stay off these roads, but the problem that they have with almost every sign, you get an 18-wheeler or a bigger truck, and you turn on the road and go, oh, no trucks, or $2,500 fine, and how do I back up when they're, you know, I'm already on the road. So they said, can we have some kind of a advance warning, you know, that said, oh, this road up here, half a mile, $2,500 fine, no through trucks, so that they don't pull in there and,
Be more signs.
yeah, more signs. But that was the complaint that I had from those guys.
$2,500 or back up. I think I'll back up.
All right,
I'll get a price on
okay.
a no-through truck sign with the $2,500 fine on it, and then I'll get a price on just to add a $2,500 fine.
Another thing that was brought up is like a farmer that farms, let's say, out by Lesterville, and what defines that as no through? He brings a load over of grain, say, over to Vermillion, then he goes over to Tyndall. Is that a no through? I don't know. There's a lot of questions.
He drives from the beginning of the no-through truck through the end of the no-through truck. He doesn't stop at his destination of a house or something, then I would think it would be a violation. I would think.
Yeah, that would make, there could be an awful lot of unsatisfied local people.
That could be, but if you're driving through the first point and the second point, and it says new road trucks, and this is your destination, and you drive through it, I don't know how it's not a violation.
Yep, go ahead,
Okay.
Gary.
After last Tuesday's meeting, on Wednesday, I went out to the farm up on Welshtown 444. 2 semis, Iowa plates, and a gooseneck pickup, Iowa plates. And Tuesday is sale day, so I know that they were going around the port and going down to Welshtown 444. And then I went to Irene, and they were headed on 46, so just the next day after we talked about it, so.
Well, anything else on road task force schedule and goals?
No,
Okay,
thank you.
covered that pretty well. Thank you, Don and Sherry, for your work on that. Is there an ultimate, do we have a completion date or a goal in mind, I guess, when, my thought is, you know, how long is this? Is this 6 months? Is this a year? Is it 3 months? Like, when is where's the
We talked
bullseye
about
at
being
on this?
Lots earlier rather than later.
Okay,
3 to 4 months at the most would be my expectation.
Yeah, yeah.
so we're
That would
thinking
include,
November 1st?
yeah.
Timeframe?
That would include probably by October, going to the public and saying, this is the concept of the quarter.
Okay.
When do you have to have your new 5-year done?
I think it's October.
We better have her done before
Yeah.
then.
You better, actually, you better be like September timeframe if you get
Yeah,
it
well-
incorporated
Yeah,
with the
it's
fine.
pretty fast, so we-
We'll try.
There's a lot of
We'll
stuff.
try.
Yeah, make sure you.
It's
You
good to
don't
have
need-
an
you don't
Rather
need
have
express.
it
sleep,
thorough
right?
and
So-
late than.
Well, sure. All right, anything else? All right, moving on. Item number 13, 2020 budget discussion. Had this added on there. We had our budget meeting. When was that now? Was it last week? 2 weeks ago?
20th.
20th, was very good. And then on the July 8th, we're finishing up the rest of the departments, correct? And then when were we going over revenue?
You can do it at the same time.
We're going to do that at the
Brian,
same time? Okay.
Registered deeds, and then
Soil conservation was it?
soil will be there.
So if anybody wants to listen to a budget discussion for 7 hours, it's posted on our website. You guys are all welcome. It's the first budget meeting that's been televised. That'll be on July 8th will be the next one. And It's at
Yes.
9 o'clock. 9 o'clock.
Yes.
Anything on budgets? Anybody?
No.
Okay. Anybody from the audience on budgets? All right, moving on. Next item on the agenda, item number 14, discussion on freezing major purchases for 1 year. Commissioner Swenson.
Yeah, I don't have to reiterate that the county's strapped for money, and I guess I'll just give you an example. My grandfather came to South Dakota to farm in 1897, and there's still Swenson's farming, even though they spell their name a little different, S-V-E-N-D-S-E-N. But Dad always said that when we had a short crop, hailstorm, drought, bad luck, we had to cut back. We didn't trade pickups, we didn't buy a different tractor, and we made things last a few more years. Mom didn't get a new stove or carpet, so I think the county is gonna have to take some lessons from the old timers that this major purchases, we're gonna have to be really careful. We've already got, Patty, don't we have payments, don't we, on that maintainer? $100,000, is that correct?
On what?
On that
Yes.
road grader?
Yes.
Okay, and that was like 420,000. How many left, how many we got left?
I don't know, Gary.
We have
Okay,
2 more.
2 left. So are there other pieces of equipment that we're making payments on?
No,
No.
Okay, and there's interest, I suppose, clicking on that stuff.
that's,
So-
Yes.
the interest is in that 100, whether it's 100 or 105, whatever it is, that
So-
includes the interest.
Well, you used to be a banker, so you get overextended and you're in trouble, so. So I just want to reiterate that we just got to be careful. We don't buy so much stuff and can't pay for it. And then nobody wants their taxes raised. Everybody I talk to, don't go raising taxes and buying all this equipment, and because we're not going to stand for it. So I just wanted to talk about that. And anybody else want to add to it?
No, I think the budgeting time is a good time where we look into that and we see where we can, what we can do to keep our expenses as low as possible.
I don't want to bring up a vote or anything. I just
Sure.
wanted to
No,
put
it's
it
good.
on the table
It's
here. So.
good to bring it up, so thank you very much for that, Gary.
Thank you.
Anybody need a break?
No.
Need a break, Don? Gary? All right.
We're on
Well-
time.
Yeah, we're on time. All right. Anybody from the audience care to discuss freezing major purchases for 1 year? All right, moving on. Next item on the agenda, item number 15, permit increases. All right, I guess I'll take this one. Really what precipitated this is at our 8-county meeting, speaking with some of the other commissioners from other counties, we are pretty low on our permit fees. In fact, our permits, our fee for our permitting has not increased since 2004. And so I took the liberty of writing up some examples, and we can feel free to put your 2 cents in. One example I really see is, for our building permits. Say we have a building permit that's valued at $1,000. We charge $10 for it, and we know that the paperwork and the fees and the time is costing the zoning department much in excess of $10. So what some of the other counties do is they have a base fee for building permits. Say some of them are $50, some of them are $100, and then it's based on valuation. So I guess I'd open it up to some of the other commissioners and see what your thoughts are. And this isn't something we have to decide tonight, but I think it's been 16 years since they've been raised.
Dan, did they say, like, say somebody's putting up a $500,000 house, or applies for a building permit for the $500,000 house? Did they say what that would be and how much that would be?
Each county is different. Some of them go by square footage. It's, so much per square footage, and that's what they charge. Some of them have a rate plus square footage. I know I called Brown County and Brookings and Clay County and I forget a bunch of them. Nobody said their permits are too high. Everybody said that they really need to update theirs, and every county does it, I think, in a different way. So
Here's I just punched a couple numbers. For a $200,000 home in Yankton is $100. In Brookings is $298. In Lincoln and Minnehaha, it's $800, and in Brown County, it's $600
For $200,000?
for a $200,000 home. So if you go up to $300,000, Yankton is $100. Brookings is $398. Lincoln and Minnehaha are $1,200, and Brown County is $900. Those latter counties are based on a certain percentage above a base fee. So Yankton, anything above $300,000, we add $1 for every $1,000, if I have that
Yeah,
right here. And
$1 per every
my notes are a little hard to read right now, but, so that's just building permits. Things like conditional use permits, Yankton's $100, Brookings $150, Lincoln was $250, Brown County was 75/100. I think the 100 was for an animal feeding operation, CUP. Davison was 100.
Minnehaha's, I think, 250 as well.
Probably, I think.
And I think both
seem
Lincoln and
to match.
Minnehaha, when I spoke with the commissioners, that they're raising theirs again. And I know when I spoke with Scott Bader in Brown County, they're in the process of raising theirs as well.
Yeah.
One of the things that the bankers do is they charge fees on all kinds of services. And if they're really afraid of getting behind because the other competition maybe then undercut them, or they may be so low that if they jumped it up, say 100%, then it'd look terrible. And so the idea there was to, if you're going to generate a lot of fee income, probably to address it annually or every 3 years or something. We probably should try to do that as a practice. One of the things the county is trying to do, economic development, or one of their challenges is the lack of housing. So I hate to see something that would totally discourage somebody from building. Now, I think the person that's building a $100,000 or $150,000 house, we should keep that fee pretty reasonable. The $500,000 house, then maybe they should be paying $1,000 or $1,200.
Yeah, I mean, while we're on fees, and affordable housing, I would, down the road, I'd go as far as to say, at a certain home ownership, not rentals, but home ownership price level and below, the county waive fees. and waive any fees for reconstruction, remodeling on, let's say, a $70,000 home where it's home ownership, and they would like to, you know, get into a home, but it needs some,
Want them to live there, though. I don't
but they
wanna-
have to live there,
Yeah, I
it's
don't
not for
wanna make it
rentals.
So the person that's renting
Right.
20 slum houses can not
Right,
have to pay.
it would be ownership and occupied ownership only, but
Well, they already
something
get
just
it.
to think about down the road.
They already
to
get
entice
taxed.
that.
I'm sorry to interrupt. They already get like the owner occupied taxes off, which is big. And I guess, you know, my thought is the reason I think we need to look at modernizing is they haven't been updated since 2004.
Mhm.
And we, you know, we need to at least break even if somebody sits down and a conditional use permit or variance, it's got to go through the paperwork upstairs. It takes many times hours, comes down here, planning and zoning board, we're recording it now, that's $150 or whatever to record it, okay? All the paperwork, all the advertising, then it comes to Board of Adjustment, that's recorded too. I mean, and the idea isn't to, you know, make money, it's just, we shouldn't be losing money on every single one we do either, is my thought process. But I get where you're coming from too.
Yeah.
So,
I just want to clarify, Sherry, a home in Lincoln and Minnehaha, 300,000 is about $1,200 fee.
That's what I calculated
Okay,
unless I
and Yankton,
misinterpreted.
Same 300,000, how
It's
much?
$100.
$100.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta have a lot of people moving here.
And I actually like the square footage model personally over the
Mm.
valuation. I've seen people get new roofs for $2,500. I don't know if I could get a new roof for $2,500.
not with that
Well-
tall pitch you have on there.
And if I'm reading theirs right, the square footage of your home is assigned, for example, $80 a square foot. So if I have 1,000 square foot home, they calculate that as 80,000.
Right.
Then they calculate the permit fee. So if I'm building my house on the cheap and I can build it for 60,000, they're still charging my permit to 80,000, as an example. But all of those were laid out very specifically, and they do building permits on agriculture, different than businesses, different than homeowners and such. So they're all a little different rate.
And that's confusing too, because an unfinished basement is calculated at this, where a finished one is this.
Yeah,
And then you have
theirs is-
agriculture is this,
It's
and then
very
finished living
detailed.
is this. I mean, it's
But
more
doesn't that
complicated.
get caught up when the equalization people take over? When they put their values on it? We're talking about the fee to build it.
The fee, it is
The
just
fee to
the.
build it.
Yeah. The fee to build it, some
Yeah.
counties, that's how they charge
how
it
they
per
do
square
it.
foot, which,
Yeah.
you know, in my opinion, it's probably more accurate, but it's also more cumbersome.
It
That
is.
people
It's
are
more
then-
confusing.
Then then you're having to calculate, I guess, I'm trying to make it more efficient. Somebody comes in and want a building permit, this is the evaluation, this is what you pay. Here, go on your merry way and get your project built, I guess, for ease. And like you said, for taxes, that's how it will be calculated, and that's important. But I guess this is just for the building permit process, so.
Well, I think we ought to get it
So
done.
what is our assignment then?
Do we all want to bring, this is just something I wrote and proposed. If you guys want to dig into it a little more and come back with something else, my thought was, I think we need to raise up our post-construction fee. Right now, it's $100. I think that needs to go to at least $500. Jeff mentioned it should be higher last time. That's for somebody who's already built something without a permit. And then I think we should have some sort of a minimum building permit fee. My proposal was, $50 plus $5 per thousand evaluation, I think would be pretty fair. If somebody's building a $100,000 house, it would be $50, plus $500, so $550, well, plus $450, I guess, so it'd be $500 for a $100,000 house. And like you mentioned, once they get above a certain point, we could charge more. I mean, the bigger a project is, the more time it's gonna take and the more effort.
certainly
So-
justify our change finder software if we.
Well, I think it would make it, what we need to do, I think, up in that office is make it streamlined, make it more modern. We're getting new software, like you said. I think raising our fees is part of that, so. Anything else from the board? I'll see if anybody from the audience care to speak on this topic? Anybody? All right, back to the board. So we'll put a pin in that and talk about it at the next meeting. Does that sound good with everybody?
agenda?
We'll put it on the agenda next time. And if you have other suggestions, or call some other counties and see where they're at. All right, sounds good. All right, next item on the agenda, item number 16, public comment. Anybody care to make a public comment? Now would be the time to do so. Going once, going twice. All right, close public comment. Next item on the agenda, item number 17, commission updates. We'll start over there with you, Joe. Do you have anything?
I do not.
Sherry?
Don
Be
and
safe
I.
on the 4th.
Oh, yeah. Don and I had our town hall out in Lesterville. It was attended fairly well. A lot of discussion on roads, a lot of discussion on organizing unorganized township areas, and we had a couple of, or one board member from an organized township who shared his opinions on things, and it was very good that he was there. I think he gave some positives and some challenges associated with organizing. So what else did we discuss there, Don?
Well, the big thing was roads.
Yeah.
That was almost all roads.
That's your guys' department, so that
Yeah.
was good. That was good.
And lots of good, healthy, friendly discussion. Some ideas that we're throwing out on, budgeting and those kind of things. It was a refreshing conversation. Even
It was.
a couple hours. went
Couple
by
hours.
Pretty fast.
Yeah, it did. So we did that, and we should probably discuss here what we're doing for July, where we're going to be.
I want to go to Utica, so I still need to do that.
Okay, so do we want to make that one the July, or do we want to have that one be a makeup and we do another one on the east side or Cottonwood out at the lake?
Yeah, we
Could do something in town.
owe Cottonwood and one at the center still.
Well, who wants to do the next one? I need to do one, and just, who wants?
Dan, I could go with you to Utica if you want, or.
Yeah, I don't know when it's gonna
Oh.
be. I haven't scheduled it yet, but we can put something out. We'll try to do
I
that.
want to be out of the country for a couple of weeks.
Trade you. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right. Did you want to do
Did you
another
want-
one?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
All right, we'll get it figured out and get it for the next one. We can announce that at the budget meeting next week. Can I
Okay.
do that?
That's fine.
Did you want to go, was there anything good at the STIP meeting?
That's
Oh,
right
sorry.
here. We went to, the state came down and explained their, I can't remember how many years it is, but they did announce a change for 81. There was a big push in this community to extend the 4 lanes going north to the Lesterville turnoff. The state did not bite on that, but they did agree to extend it past the Ballin turnoff, which is the Johnson Bridge. A year or two before they do that, and that's pushed to 2022, I think, or 2023. They're gonna let it in 2022, and they're gonna do it in 2023, but a year or two before that, they're gonna go in and put the turn lane at Utica, and they're gonna put the turn lane at Lesterville, and I think at the Ballin, but I didn't see that one listed there, but they're gonna try and get those turn lanes at least put in there. The Utica turnoff, I use it every day, is not a good place, so I was really happy that they are gonna go ahead and widen that road as part of the reconstruction project. So that was a big change. I know Mr. Healy had done a lot of work with the state to try and get that funding and that change.
Not me.
Mike Healy. So, so that was good. I did get a call, or I did call a person who has complained about not having road signs on their roads. And this person lives on a road that was not constructed by the county. It is not controlled by the county. It is a private road. The concern was that deliveries do not occur at their location because there's no road sign to get there, and everyone was wondering whose responsibility it is. So I made some calls, and last year when the feds came in and put all those wonderful signs across our county, every reflector and such, they did not do private roads. It was assumed they would. So there's a disconnect here. So we've got some places out there that the county is technically not responsible for, yet there is no road sign put up by the developer. So I think that at our next meeting, we probably need to figure out, this is the line in the sand, what do we do about backtracking and making sure those roads get up? Because not just the UPS guy can't find my house, it's the ambulance can't find my house when my husband's having a heart attack or my wife is unconscious, something like that. So that's probably the bigger concern other than finding a UPS package. So we need to figure out going backwards what we're going to do, what we're going to require, and then going forward, making it very clear when we have planned unit developments and people put roads in and their street addresses and stuff, who is responsible for getting that done? And then the other question is, if those get damaged, how do we make sure that they are replaced in a timely fashion? So it's not on the agenda to discuss, but I think it's something that needs to be finalized.
We should look at how other counties do it. When I was talking about, for me, permit fees, I know Clay County actually charges to put up those signs. So maybe that's something
Have an
to do.
association.
I live on one of those roads, and my opinion would be that there's 4 of us live on that road. The 4 of us shouldn't pay for that sign. Nobody from the county should pay for that sign, because that's a private road.
There's a lot of private roads out in the
We
county.
put up no
yeah.
travel if we want on it. We can control it, so we should pay for the sign.
No, but at this point, I think there were some folks under the impression they were getting a sign last year because it was part of the grant and we would all be taken care of, and now that is not the case. So we need to make it very clear going forward who we're assigning that responsibility to.
Do you recall that when you did the signs? Was there any, promise of everybody getting a sign, or is it just, okay, I didn't,
They just said they're gonna be here.
okay.
They're gonna do it.
But you never said you were gonna, okay, that's, all right. Well, that's good information. Did you have anything else for updates?
No, thank you.
Gary, did you have anything for commission updates?
I meet with a couple of groups each week and had a lot of positive feedback. One guy or 2 people were happy that the road ditches were being mowed, and most of them all had a lot of empathy for all the commissioners and all the other committees that we have, because they said, you guys have a monumental task. Normally, this is a real big load. So just some praise from the people this last week.
Thanks, Gary. Don, do you have anything?
No, just sharing that.
I guess I have a few things. We did a strategic planning session last week, whenever it was, I can't remember. Friday. It was a very good turnout. Gary, Don, and Joe and myself were here, and that time went by really quickly. Greg is working on getting the results, and I believe we're going to have another meeting on that. Did you have something you wanted to add?
Well, yeah, I want to say it was amazing that one of our commissioners wasn't there, so how many tasks we could assign to that person.
So, and
No
there
wonder
was,
I can't get the report.
whenever there was an idea that nobody wanted to admit it to, we said it was Sherry's idea, so.
Thanks, Don. Appreciate that.
Did you have anything you wanted to, on strategic planning?
No, it was a good
It
discussion.
was good discussion,
Yeah,
so.
and yeah,
We realize
Look
it-
forward to the
yeah.
next one, I guess.
We realize as a commission, we have so many tasks and we have day-to-day things that keep popping up, but we need to set goals for ourselves and be working toward those goals. So I thought that was really good. Another thing, I got contacted by the Mission Hill Town Board, and they invited the commission out on August 19th. If any of us would like to come out to their town meeting and just say hi. So I don't know if that was be August 19th is what they're looking at, so. And again, the Monday, the 8th, is we're going to have some more budget hearings, so. Anything else? Updates? All right. Next item on the agenda, item number 18. Executive session. Entertain a motion to go into executive session pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law, Section 1-25-2, subparagraph 3. And executive session pursuant to South Dakota, for executive session for personnel pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law, Section 1-25-2, subparagraph 1.
Will we go into executive session?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. We're now in executive session.
Didn't you take a picture of their back of their heads for an hour?
Okay.
Will we move back into regular session?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to go back into regular session. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're back into regular session. No action will be taken as a result of the executive session. Next item on the agenda, items for the next meeting. We will have somebody from, I believe, the Weston Group to come down and discuss HR with us. Okay. And anybody else? You had somebody? Anything else for next meeting? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everybody.